Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing to play out the short-term bearish divergence. And while this is happening, if we're zooming out to the daily time frame, we're starting to see the price pretty much perfectly repeat history, now starting to confirm a top signal, the same signal that we saw right at the beginning of this year, and we saw what came next for the price of Bitcoin. So I'll be talking about this in just a moment. It's something that we need to pay attention to while the Bitcoin dominance is continuing this bullish relief in the short term, which is not good for altcoins. We're seeing this for Ethereum and the price of XRP right on the edge of breaking below very important areas of support, especially for XRP. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to talk about why we've just seen a major drop-off in the short term. Of course, we were already seeing this bearish divergence play out, lacking bullish momentum, showing weakness, pulling back a little bit, but that drop-off just massively accelerated, and it's not just Bitcoin or other altcoins. We're seeing a major dump in the US stock market. All of a sudden, we saw a massive drop. This is the S&P 500 index today, and today in this single daily candle right here is down over 2%, which for the S&P 500 index is a massive drop off in a single day. And so we're not only seeing a major dump for Bitcoin and altcoins, we're also seeing a major dump in the US stock market and other assets as well, like other currencies, etc., all dumping right now. And all of this happened the moment this post came out from President Trump here, basically talking about China, and at the end of the post saying that things are about to get potentially painful. He's not wrong about that. Obviously, markets dumping right now because of this new announcement of a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products. And in case you're new to all of this, basically markets do not like the word tariff. The moment Trump mentions more tariffs are coming, obviously the first time around that we saw this, we saw a major dump when Trump announced the tariffs around February, March, around here earlier in the year. Obviously, we saw a massive drop off, at least for the next month or so, in the crypto markets, in the stock market, etc. And so right now we're basically seeing the same thing, a massive increase of tariffs just announced by Trump on Chinese products, and the president himself even saying that at least right now in the short term it will potentially be painful, which is not wrong about that. Obviously markets are at least right now in the short term feeling the pain, and so that's really the main catalyst as to why we've seen a major dump across pretty much all markets. There's only a few markets like gold, for example, that are still holding up relatively well, but stocks, crypto, other currencies all currently dumping right now. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price charts here on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator still sitting in the green, indicating a larger or longer term bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we're now at risk of reconfirming a bearish divergence here on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, because obviously we already just recently confirmed a higher high in the price in the candle closes, but at least for now we're still sitting in lower highs in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, which means once again we could potentially now confirm a new bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. So definitely something to watch out for in the coming days. And in case you're wondering, the next weekly candle close confirms in about 2 days from now. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're now clearly losing that previous bullish momentum that we were starting to gain a little bit, as we can see right here. Not yet confirming a new bearish crossover, but now actually starting to move towards a bearish crossover. In the last couple of times we started to move towards a bearish crossover, losing bullish momentum. Obviously, we're looking at the price that followed that sort of signal in the MACD indicator. At best, some choppy sideways price action, but potentially a bit more of a pullback, at least in the short term, could be likely. And just before talking about this very important Bitcoin price chart here, first taking a look at the immediate short term here on the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart. Obviously, we still have an active bearish divergence, which I've been talking about every day since pretty much all the way back up here. I've been talking about this bearish divergence, saying how we should not really be expecting significant bullish momentum in the short term, and instead expect weakness, expect a lack in bullish momentum, and most likely a bit of a pullback of some sort as a very likely scenario. And obviously we are very much continuing a pullback, and especially just over the last few hours or so, accelerating that pullback as a result of those new tariffs being announced by Trump. But it is worth pointing out that here on the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, we're getting very close to oversold. Now, we're not there just yet, which means it's possible we could see a continued dump here, but soon enough, it is likely that maybe within the next day or so, within the next 1 or 2 days, very soon, it's likely we'll start to see some sort of relief, whether it's right now or after a little bit more of a dump. Once again, we still technically have a little bit more room towards the downside first. So what is likely is we continue a bit more of a dump, but then within the next couple of days, I do expect at least maybe a short-term break, not necessarily the bottom, but just a slight little relief before possibly more bearish price action later on as a result of this chart right here. Because as I was researching the charts for this video, about to record this video, I noticed a lot of similarities between what we are seeing right now and what we saw at the end of 2024 entering into early this year. We're seeing seriously a lot of similarities right now, even down to the news that was happening back then and right now, which of course is the tariff news. And so first of all, near the end of 2024, around November 2024, we saw a major bearish divergence in the price of Bitcoin between obviously the higher highs in the price and the lower highs in the RSI here on the daily Bitcoin price chart. And of course, we just saw that earlier a few months ago during July entering into August, a massive bearish divergence on the daily time frame. And then ultimately in both of these cases right here, we saw a major pullback in the next couple of weeks or so for the price of Bitcoin. And then we started to bottom out a little bit and then obviously see another rejection in the short term and then come back down to form basically a double bottom or a W pattern in both of these cases here. And then as we could see, the price continued to bounce towards the upside after forming that double bottom in both of these cases. We continued up towards all-time highs and actually in both of these cases set a new all-time high, but only very, very slightly above the previous all-time high. So we could see back here, first of all, in December 2024, we set an all-time high of around 108,000, and then we slightly broke the all-time high in January of just above 108,000, almost 109,000. And then this time around, obviously this previous all-time high we set back in mid-August at this high of the bearish divergence, like what we saw last time, but the all-time high in August was at roughly 124K. This time around, we head up towards around 126K. So very, very similar stuff right now to what we're seeing, obviously what we saw back there. And so obviously we're seeing a lot of similarities right now. It's not just one little signal that's repeating, it's multiple signals all coming together, a double bottom, a bearish divergence, a slight higher high in the price, breaking all-time highs, but only very slightly, and then quickly rejecting, failing to see a lot of follow through into new all-time highs. And then even the fact that we're seeing the same sort of tariff news, obviously an increase in tariffs back here and an increase in tariffs right here. And so obviously just because something happened last time, it does not 100% guarantee it's going to play out the exact same again this time around. I just want to make that clear. There's no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but obviously if we're looking at the outcome of what we saw back here, we did see a major drop off over the next couple of months, since basically around February all the way through towards around early April. And if we're measuring from the actual high to low in the price of Bitcoin, that was roughly a 30% drop, a 30% move towards the downside from high to low. Or if we're measuring from, let's just say around here, after we already saw a little bit of a drop towards the lows, that was roughly 20% towards the downside. And so let's just say if we're measuring roughly 20% from where we are right now, that will put the price potentially at around 94, 95K. Or if we're measuring roughly 30% from the current all-time high, the actual high, around 30% towards the downside would be around 88,000. But it is worth mentioning that, of course, this is the second time around when it comes to the tariff news affecting the market. Obviously, back here was the first time around. So there was a lot more uncertainty in the market, a lot more uncertainty between traders and investors back here in the market during February and March, because back then, obviously, a lot of people out there didn't necessarily know exactly how long that could really affect the markets for. Whereas due to the fact that we have seen a decent recovery out of that previous pullback, obviously since then, since around April onwards, in my opinion, that could potentially give a little bit more confidence to some traders and investors out there this time around. So once again, we could likely continue to some bearish price action, but maybe not necessarily as much as what we saw back here. So once again, bearish price action, but not as much as what we saw back here, considering it's the second time around. So we have perhaps a little bit more clarity this time around than what we saw back here. But either way, obviously, we are seeing now bearish price structure, a major fractal playing out in the bearish direction. So honestly, in the next few weeks, potentially the next 1 or 2 months, but at least the next few weeks or so, it could be likely we will actually trend a little bit more bearish for the price of Bitcoin. So just be cautious when it comes to Bitcoin right now, and by extension, the rest of the crypto market. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, obviously we still have that liquidity above the price at roughly 126K, but obviously with everything else going on right now, it is more likely we'll head in the bearish direction, of course, with the tariff news and this massive fractal and gaining a bit of bearish momentum in the shorter term. And so when it comes to liquidity towards the downside, honestly, we don't really have a lot to pay attention to. So we had a small amount here that we've already pretty much wiped out at 117K, 118K, and we have a little bit more at roughly 108,000 as well. And when it comes to my trading strategy for the price of Bitcoin, obviously you've been watching my channel over the last 1.5 weeks or so, since all the way back down here, I've been longing the price of Bitcoin from 110K. That was my entry price, which you can see right here over on my BTNX account. And then as the trade moved further and further into profits, at certain points of resistance along the way, I took some profits here and there out of the trade. And so by the time we were at these highs, I'd actually already closed most of the trade, but still had some of the trade open in case the price were to just keep pumping. Obviously, I would continue to profit from a further pump. But obviously, if you've been watching my last few videos here on the channel, you would already know that I secured a lot of profits out of that trade already, realized profits, and of course had a stop loss in some massive profits as well, which has now been hit. So essentially that stop loss has now closed the rest of the trade. So the entire trade is completely closed right now. And in total, the trade made approximately 12,000 USDT in profits in roughly a week, around a week and a half. And so this move that we're seeing right now is exactly why I always talk about risk management and why I always explain my strategies in these videos in depth, rather than just talking about if the price is going to be bullish or bearish. Obviously, it's a bit more nuanced than just up or down, because for example, if the price is in more of a bullish trend, I could be in a long position, but still have downside risks actually protected. So protecting any downside in case the worst case scenario actually happens, in case something unforeseen happens like this announcement. Obviously, I can still come away with some massive profits, even in the worst case scenario, simply just by following my own strategies that I explain here on this channel. And so this is why it's so important to subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos, and actually watch the entire videos so that you don't miss out on the information that I talk about throughout the videos. And so obviously currently I am no longer in any trade, not long, not short. And I did actually take a small amount of profits on some spot Bitcoin as well, right around this announcement, just to be fully transparent with you. And of course, as soon as I make the next trade, I'll let you know about it here on this channel as well. So once again, make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on. And if you want to prepare for that next trading opportunity, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I took this trade right here over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT out of a prize pool here for trading bonuses just by trading crypto using that link. And on top of that, there's also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit just $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit 1,000 USDT, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account. Basically free money from the exchange just by simply making an account and making a deposit using that link. And so obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well get set up ready to go using the link below the video to actually take advantage of these major bonuses here that are only available using the link. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I will also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim massive bonuses. For example, up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses here, and also 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins just by trading and depositing crypto using that link. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, you can claim a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit. But once again, all of this right here is only available if you're using the link below the video to actually make your 2bit account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. out. Once again, second link below the video to 2bit. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here on the 3-day time frame, and like I've already been saying every day for weeks now on the channel, the price of the Bitcoin dominance here is playing out a bullish divergence, which means expect a bullish relief as the most likely scenario here for the Bitcoin dominance in the coming days or weeks. And obviously over the last couple of weeks, it's been perfectly playing out as predicted, and I continue to predict this basically moving forward. I continue to predict more slight bullish price action, so not necessarily a massive move like this, but at least a slight bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance is still very likely going to continue. And so what that tells us is what I've already been saying once again for weeks now on the channel. It means a lot of the altcoin market, not every altcoin, some altcoins can be outliers, but a lot of the major altcoins out there will likely be underperforming Bitcoin, so doing a bit worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. So in other words, if Bitcoin is dumping, as it has been doing recently, expect a larger dump for a lot of the altcoin market is basically what this means for the Bitcoin dominance. And so not much has changed on this chart over the last one day. Taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now we're testing a very important area of support based on previous significant resistance, and has also acted as major support over the last few months, and that's sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. So once again, it's crucial for the price to hold above this area, especially in terms of the candle closes here, because for example, if we confirm, let's just say a 3-day candle close below 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, that would officially start to confirm larger bearish price structure, not just a short-term move, but potentially getting ready for a much larger pullback or a larger correction for the price that could last at least a period of weeks, possibly a period of months. And so I'm just preparing you for that right now before it happens. I'm saying if we confirm a break, we've not yet confirmed the break, but if we confirm a break below 3.9k and fail to get back above that area, basically expect the worst for the next few weeks or months is a very likely scenario. And if we're taking a look at that 8-hour Ethereum price chart, obviously we've now broken below that previous area of support here, which was sitting in between around 4250 to 4280, and we're also now breaking below the next area of support right here, which was sitting in between around 4060 to 4.1k. So especially if we now confirm this candle close below around 4060 and fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it's quite likely we'll simply retest the lows at roughly 3.9k and just below 3.9k. And once again, that's really the lower end of this final significant area of support here. And technically speaking, that short-term bearish divergence is still actively playing out on the 8-hour Ethereum price chart, as I've been warning about and talking about every single day since all the way back up here, telling you that we're likely going to be lacking bullish momentum and quite possibly seeing a further pullback as a very likely scenario. And so obviously still actively playing out right now. And right now we're getting very close to oversold, but we're only just entering oversold, which means we could potentially see a further drop before maybe within the next couple of days at some point seeing some sort of bounce or some sort of relief, but not just yet. So still be very cautious right now in the price charts. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 2-day time frame, we're continuing a pretty much perfect rejection from this resistance at roughly 230, really in between 230 to 233, give or take. We still have a lot of resistance around there. And above that area, expect more resistance at roughly 250. And as for support, we're now on our way towards potentially retesting this area of support, sitting in between around 190 to 200. And that's definitely an important area of support to pay attention to, because if the price of Solana, for example, confirms especially a daily or 2-day candle close below around $190, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would be a massive breakdown in this larger bullish price structure, now starting to flip into bearish price structure if we first confirm a break below 190, because that will start to actually officially confirm this lower high in place in the price chart. And of course, if we break below 190, that would also start forming a lower low, which would start forming significant bearish price structure, not just a short-term move, but quite possibly leading into a much larger bearish correction. And that could likely cause a drop at least down towards roughly 170 as the next next major target. But once again, for now, we've not yet confirmed a break below this area, which means for now, that area is still acting as major support, still something to pay attention to in between 190 to 200. And if we're looking at the shorter term here on the 4-hour Solana price chart, technically speaking, this bearish divergence is still active. We've not confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate this bearish divergence. So like I've been warning about and talking about every single day since all the way back up here, I've been saying expect weakness, lack in bullish momentum, and quite possibly a further pullback is a very likely scenario for the price of Solana. And right now, obviously, that's continuing to play out here, kind of similar to what we saw back here, a major pullback in the price. In fact, we're actually not even looking as bad right now, at least not yet, compared to what we saw back here. So far, so good. But with that being said, we're now entering into oversold, now brushing against oversold in the 4-hour Solana RSI, which means sometime within the next day, especially within the next 2 days, but very soon, expect some sort of little relief, not necessarily right this moment. Once again, it's possible we could first see a little bit more of a drop off, but in terms of time, expect within the next 1 to 2 days, a very likely scenario that we're going to see just a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action. Not necessarily a massive bullish reversal, but just basically a slight little relief, a little bit of a break from the bearish price action due to the fact that we're now heading into oversold. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically speaking, we still have that massive bearish divergence not yet invalidated, which means it's still technically influencing the price of XRP, which I've been warning about since basically back in July at around $3.40 onwards. I warned about a massive bearish divergence, saying over the next few months, expect a larger drawdown as a very likely scenario in the price of XRP. And obviously from July onwards, that has been playing out as I predicted months ago. You can even watch my videos back then, see me talk about this massive bearish divergence and basically talking about that prediction that has already been playing out nicely over the last few months. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart right now, as of recording the video, the price of XRP is starting to break below a very important area of support that has been supporting the price of XRP for months now. Since basically back at the beginning of August onwards, we've seen many important bounces from this area. And right now, once again, we're starting to break below the area, but technically we still need the confirmation of actually breaking below this area with, for example, a daily candle close confirming below around $2.70. If we see this daily candle close confirm below 270, and then especially if we fail to get back above that area, start flipping into new resistance, in that situation, that would be very bearish for the price of XRP, because obviously for some time here, we're in just a sideways price range between support and resistance. But now that we're potentially breaking below the area, and especially if we see this confirm, then in that situation, we have very clear bearish price structure. Obviously, we already have a confirmed lower low in the price, and of course, lower highs in the price, and kind of a descending triangle pattern formation as well, starting to break towards the downside. So ultimately, we could likely see a further drop in the price of XRP, at least down towards around $2.40 to $2.50 as the next major target if we actually confirm this break below 270. And once again, I've been saying that exact prediction for a while now on the channel. I've been saying pay attention to this area of support. If we break 270, expect to move down towards 240 to 250 at least. But honestly, it is likely we could see a further drop all the way down towards $2. Yes, $2 per XRP could be a very realistic price target in the coming weeks, maybe over the next month, if we fail to get back above this area here on the daily XRP price chart. And so I'm just warning you right now, at the current prices, in a few weeks from now, don't say I didn't warn you when the price is closer towards $2 in weeks or months from now. Once again, if we fail to get back above this area, expect a much larger bearish move. This is really the last chance for XRP to avoid that larger bearish move. We need to quickly regain this area very soon in order to avoid something much worse. But of course, if you're a crypto trader, that's potentially a massive opportunity here. Personally, I might even look at shorting XRP if we see more confirmation here. Once again, I'm not currently in a trade, but especially if we see this candle close, and especially if we start rejecting from this area, personally, I'd look at potential shorts positions, not financial advice, as we head further towards the downside here. I can continue to profit from bearish price action. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously Chainlink is just following the rest of the crypto market with that current dump in in the short term. And we're simply on our way towards retesting this next significant area of support here, which we bounced from previously, and that's sitting in between $19 to $20. So that is the area of support to focus on right now. And if we were to break below around $19 to $20 and fail to get back above that area, in that situation, it would likely at least see a move down towards around $17.50, quite possibly all the way down towards in between $15 to $15.60, give or take, as the next significant area of support if we first break below around $19 to $20. But once again, 19 to 20, still the next area of support to pay attention to. And as I've already been saying for quite some time now on the channel, we're technically already in larger bearish price structure for the price of Chainlink, obviously forming lower highs and lower lows, especially if we break below around 1980. That will just form another lower low, ultimately continuing more of a larger bearish trend here on the daily Chainlink price chart. And as I always say, when it comes to altcoins, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins, and also pay attention to the Bitcoin dominance. So right now with the Bitcoin dominance playing out this bullish relief, which will likely continue, basically for the altcoin market, expect what Bitcoin is doing, but a bit worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. So with Bitcoin dumping right now, expect much more bearish price action for a lot of altcoins as a very likely scenario. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves, even if the price is bearish, you can use short positions to make a lot of profits in the market. If you want to trade any of these moves, check out the links below the video to those exchanges to get set up ready to go using those links to take advantage of major bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing to make a lot of quick and easy profits in the crypto market, like what I've just done over the last week to make over 12,000 USD, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.